Okay, we will go on to part two of designing a database. I'll go ahead and we will just work our way back to the point where we were at. As we left off, we had determined that we had a many-to-many relationship between authors and books. So we need to fix this particular problem. How you do that is by adding an associative entity. So solving this many-to-many relationship between authors and books, you use an associative entity, or sometimes you hear it called a linking table or a bridging table. What we end up having to do is to create an additional entity between authors and books, the many-to-many. We have AID, which is part of this, that becomes a foreign key to AID as a primary key in authors. We have a BID that becomes a foreign key to the primary key in books. When we look at it, we'll have a one-to-many relationship. So as we list this out and we have data, we have a number of authors, and then we can combine that with all of the specific books that they have written. Okay, so we can have multiple occurrences of authors and multiple occurrences of books. So we may have one author write one book, and then one author collaborate with another author to write a second book. The author that was collaborated with will also have that same book listed. So you can consider that a many-to-many relationship. This is just the mechanics of solving that many-to-many relationship between authors and books, or between orders and inventory. It's the same process throughout. Now, so with that, let's go ahead and identify the primary keys and the foreign keys. Again, with our associative entity now in there, remember that wasn't part of our initial design, but that has to become part of it in order to make a working database. So AID is the primary key. AID in book authors, foreign key, BID, foreign key to a primary key in books, BID. Now, in book authors, because it's an associative entity, you have multiple foreign keys that can become a primary key together. So that will be a unique combination. That will become, again, a unique combination. You will never see that. Think about the numbers associated with AID and BID as you drop those primary keys from both authors and books into this particular table. That combination will never be seen again, so it can be a unique primary key. And then, of course, we have PID as the foreign key to publishers, PK here. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Now let's populate this table, or these tables. So if we look at authors, books, and publishers, I went ahead and set up 1 and 2. That's AID. Now the number, short text, those are field types. Those are data types. So you need to make sure that when you design your database, that you include those types of fields in your schema or design of your database. So I have F name and L name, and I've just filled in some of this information. Now with books, we have a book by John Carter. BID is 1. BID is 2 for How the Irish Saved Civilization, by Cahill wrote that, Thomas Cahill. And then Tarzan. So we have just made up ISBN numbers. I think the publication years are correct. The dates aren't necessarily correct. The genre, more or less correct. The currencies. Oh, and here we go. I neglected that. And that would be 2, 1. There we go. That's better. Okay. Now, so, and then what we have are the publishers, Penguin and Hachette. And then those are the corresponding ID numbers. So in this case, Penguin, which this is all made up, a lot of this is made up information. Penguin published John Carter and Tarzan, and then Hachette published How the Irish Saved Civilization. So that's how we tie this primary key of a publisher and the primary key or corresponding foreign key together. And that's what the data looks like. And that's one-to-many relationship. Over here, what we're seeing is AID 1, 2, and 2. Okay, and that's a many side. That's a one-to-many relationship. Remember what this one-to-many relationship looks like. And then with books to book authors, now in this case I just have 2, 1, and 3, but that can also be a many relationship. So within this example, it is a one-to-many. The data just shows one-to-one. Ignore that. The data can be one-to-many, as is indicated here in this ERD. And ERD means Entity Relationship Diagram. It's basically part of our diagram of our network, of our database, I should say. Now, I hope that makes sense. What we're going to do at this point in time is go into Gliffy to, what I'll do is I'll do this first. Let's go over here, and we're going to go ahead and use Gliffy to design our database, or you can use any other application that you would like. You're going to use these main symbols. This is an entity relationship diagram symbol set. So this one is the table symbol, and then we have a 1, 2, 0, or many, and that we'll probably use that most of the time. That's fine. And then that's actually a 1 to at least 1, but could be as many as could be many. And then 1 to only 1. Within this particular design, we'll probably use 1 to many's, 0 to many, and then we'll use the actual table diagram. Okay, so what I wanted to do was this quickly as well. What does a typical database look like? It's the same type of situation. We have customers, we have orders, and orders to books, books on orders. So one order can have one book, one order can have many books, a book can be on one order, and one type of book can be on many orders. And again, what we end up with is a many-to-many. We have to have an associative entity, and then I just wanted to point this out. We have a quantity purchased probably within this order books, so that we can understand on each order how many of a specific book was ordered. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out. Let's go back to our diagram here, and our diagram there, and remember what this data looks like. And let's go ahead and pause this, and we'll come back to this for a second, and we'll get into Gliffy.